All right. So how are you doing?
I'm good. Well, I have a severe cough that I'm getting over, and I guess a little bronchitis. But otherwise, I'm hanging in.
That's too bad. I'm sorry you're not feeling well.
Well, man.
So tell me a little bit about yourself and what's your background?
Well, I was born in a little town they called Lewin, Mississippi, 1931, May 15th. And when I was about 2.5 or 3 years old, I guess, my grandfather, which is who I live with, and grandmother, moved to Ocean Springs, Mississippi. And when we moved there, there was my grandfather. He was like a little straw boss, and halfway ran the commissary for the turpentine still there.
Oh, wow.
And that was basically in front of the school. I don't know the streets.
Which school? Which school?
Well, there's only two at that time, and we referred to it as the white school or the colored school.
Okay, so it was in front of the colored school?
No, the white school.
Oh, it was in front of the white school. Okay. And what was your grandfather?
Yep.
What was your grandfather's name?
His name was Lum Roberts.
Lum Roberts. And what about your grandmother?
Minnie Roberts.
Minnie Roberts. Okay, very cool. And so, so tell me a little bit more about what he did at the turpentine factory.
Well, I wasn't involved in it. Like I say, I was just a kid, but my parents lived there. And, of course, I went to school there at Mrs. Keys. I think her name was Elizabeth Keys, was the principal, and that was the only school there. And at the time that I went, and I think it was, whatever, primer through, they just started the 12th grade somewhere. I don't remember. I think the school only went to the 8th grade until maybe sometime 1938 or 39 is when they become a high school. Because otherwise, after the 8th grade, they would have to go to over to Biloxi or leave and go somewhere else.
Right. I think that they went to Mother of Sorrows, if I remember right, in Biloxi after that. And so what grades did you attend that school?
Well, I went up to, I guess, 7th or 8th, maybe. I don't really remember. And, of course, that's where I went to school, too, at our Mother of Sorrows. But it was because that we met this lady. I cannot think of her name. She became a friend of my grandmother's, and she recommended that I go to the Catholic. I think she was Catholic. It's Florence Heffler. That's her name, Florence Heffler. And she recommended to my grandmother they would send me over to the Catholic school. and she did. And
how would you get there? How would you get there every day? Did your grandparents take you? Was there a bus?
No. Well, there was a bus, but I rode my bike every day.
From Ocean Springs?
Yes, from Ocean Springs to Biloxi. And sometimes I'd have to go the back way, and that's going over that little bridge, and I can't remember. But anyway, you'd come in on the Iberville, but if you go the bridge over the front bridge way there, you'd go through the, I think they call it the Point, which was a shorter route. But sometimes, you know how kids are. They would see me, and the other kids would throw rocks at me or something like that, But anyway, so I didn't graduate from OMS. I joined the service in 1948.
Okay. How old were you then?
I was 17, and I think I was in the 10th or the 11th grade. I don't recall. But I was 17 when I joined the service.
Which branch of the military were you?
I was in the Army. I served in the Army.
Well, thank you for your service. So how long did you serve in the Army for?
Well, I like to say more than 20, but 20 years and 3 days. So, I did. And after the military, I become an air traffic controller, and I did that for 25 years, and I retired from that in 94, I believe.
Where all did you live doing that?
Well, my career path wasn't an ideal one. I retired from the Army on December the 31st, 1968. I went to work for the FAA air traffic controller the 3rd of March, 1969. And that was at a little place called Blackstone, Virginia, just south of Richmond. And from there, I was able to come to, I retired from the service at Fort Eustis, Virginia. And with my wife, while I was away, she purchased some land here in a little neighborhood that they were starting up. And we built a house. Or she basically built a house, supervised it anyway. And stayed here ever since. And I've been here in Newport News.
Wow. And have you ever been back to visit Ocean Springs?
I have. And I used to go back. I think I attend one school reunion there in Ocean Springs at the colored school. I don't remember what year that was, but maybe Jerry Wallace, or Jerry Oliver now, she would have more of a recollection of what year that was. They may have had more than one reunion, but that is the only one that I can recall. Well, I know it's the only one I attended.
Okay. I definitely need to do the same thing and interview her sometime. So, where exactly in Ocean Springs did you live?
I lived in the Turpentine Quarters. They called it, referred to it as the Turpentine Quarters. It was just what it was. It was a quarters. I don't recall how many houses out there, but I could visually see them. But they were just shacks.
So were they right by the school?
No, they were in their own little quarters area.
Okay.
I just used the school to try to give you a reference of where this Turpentine still was. I believe the school is still there, isn't it?
Yeah. So there was a school, and then in the same location they built a newer school. I think like in the 50s or 60s, but it's called the Elizabeth Keys School. In that same spot.
You mean the colored school?
Yeah, the colored school became the Elizabeth Keys alternative school, and that's still there right there. And then across a little bit is like the elementary school that used to be the high school, and then the white high school is now just like a cultural center.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I didn't know. The last time I think the last time I was in Ocean Springs as a visitor, I believe that school was still active. I'm not sure.
Still active anyway, as a colored school, or as this is a.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So at that location, so from that location, so let's say from the colored school, then where was your house compared to where that is?
Okay, the only reference I can give you is, I think it's Macedonia
Yes.
Baptist Church. You know where that is?
Yep.
Okay, well, I lived, at that time there was a playground out there between Highway 90 and the Baptist Church.
Yep, there is a playground there now too.
Okay, if you'd come out of the church and, on the back side, they had a little road back there, not the front side of the church. And if you turn right, and you go about a half a block. That's where I live.
Okay, so I believe that's School Street. Is that what I think that's called, School Street?
I don't know. Well, back in them days, I don't think it had a name. You know,
It probably didn't, but it's right there by the railroad tracks.
Right, that's correct, and that's where I used to walk to school, and from basically the church up to where the school at present is now.
Okay.
And it seemed like a long ways during that time, but after revisiting the place, it looked like it was only a couple of 3 blocks.
Well, but then when you think about you riding your bike to your mother of sorrows, that's a long bike ride.
It was, but, you know, as a 14, 15-year-old kid, it wasn't that much. I didn't ride the bike all the time. Sometimes I would ride the bus.
Okay.
Right.
Did you ever, did you ride the bike with any of your friends, or did you just usually go by yourself?
Well, I was by myself. I was the only one, and I remember from Ocean Springs at the time, attended, in fact, I know I was, attended our Mother of Sorrows school.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so, do you remember any of your classmates or friends from that time?
Yes, I do. Well, I mentioned Jerry Wallace, Oliver. She's the only one that I can recall that's living. There may be some others, but I don't remember. But a good friend of mine was named Leo Russell, which he just passed. He and I were I think he was a couple of years older than me, but he passed, I don't know, 7, 8, maybe 10 years ago. But he'd been in Ocean Springs for a long time. Well, that's where he was a kid. We all grew up together. And I can't remember. I remember the name Gibsons from kids. That was a large family.
Yep, there's still a lot of Gibsons in town.
And there should be a lot of Thurmans there, too.
Yes, there's a lot of Thurmans and Gibsons and Mobleys.
Mobleys, yeah, I remember. Mr. Mobley, after he come from the service, I think he attended Southern or Grambling, I don't remember. And he came back. He was very athletic. I always admired him and wanted to be like him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They call him Bud, you know.
Okay. Do you have any siblings?
No.
No siblings.
I was the only child of the only child, and my parents, like I say, we're still in Lewin. They died, I was told, I was 18 months old. They went to a church, from what I was told, went to a church social and got food poisoning. And they weren't the only ones that died, from what I understand. But anyway, my grandparents raised me from 18 months old until I joined the service.
Wow.
They both died.
And where was it that you were living when they passed away?
Well, when my grandfather passed away, I think it was in 1958. I was there going to school, air traffic control school, out at Keesler Air Force Base.
Okay.
The Army didn't have an air traffic control school at that time. And I had retired from service and was working as an air traffic controller here in Newport News when my grandmother passed. I think it was 71. It was 1971 when she passed.
Okay, and then where was it that your parents passed away when they had food poisoning?
I have no idea where I guess my parents were there in Lewin. You know, that's what I know. I don't know.
Very interesting. That's so sad, but I'm glad that you had grandparents around to take you in. So did you work at all when you lived in Ocean Springs? Did you have a job?
Oh yeah, I had a job. Well, first of all, I used to shine shoes. Me and Leo used to shine shoes there together. I remember we used to shine out in front of the drugstore. And if you go down on the same street, same side, there used to be a cafe or a pool room down there. I used to shine shoes there. And on the other side of the street, coming up, Earl Keys had a cleaners there, and I used to shine shoes out in front of that.
Very
and
cool.
Also the bank. The bank, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then I bet you got to meet a lot of people there when you were shining shoes.
Well, I guess I had special customers, But another thing I remember, Tony's shoe shop was there next to, from what I recall, it was close to the drugstore on the same side. There was a lady befriended my grandmother. Her name was Clem. It used to be I think she was like she was the bank custodian. She worked there. And I haven't been there. I don't recall that house. I mean, the bank, if it's still in the same place or not, but that was right across from the drugstore.
Yeah, that bank's still there.
Is it?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's changed. It's changed a little bit over the years, but it is still there. Yeah, who are some of the other people that you remember shining their shoes or remember from downtown?
I don't recall any people other than Miss Clem that lived there. I remember we as kids, right behind the train station, they used to have an artesian well there. I don't know if it's still there or not, but anyway, we could get money by going there and waiting till some people come up to fill their jugs with that artesian water. And most of them were elderly people, and they would have 3 or 4 or 5 jugs, and they'd give us a nickel or something to fill those jugs and put them in there.
Oh, wow.
In their car.
Very interesting. Right. No, yeah, supposedly there's still wells around, but no one uses them. I wish they did. I don't know where they are, so I'll have to find out exactly where that was.
Right. Well, that's the only one I can recall. It was there right behind the train station, the depot. I remember I used to, I had a paper route also when I was about 10 maybe. And I remember they used to drop the papers off at the train station. And I and another black kid, I cannot think of his name, used to go down there to pick up our papers. And, of course, the white boys would be there, too, and there would always be a fight.
Oh, my goodness.
Not a bloody fight, but just a fight, I remember the one guy, his name, I don't remember his name, other than I think they call him Red DeVerney, and he was around my age. And when I was in Korea in 1950, we kind of passed each other and passed some pleasantries, but I understand later on that he was killed over there in Korea.
Oh.
Like I said, I don't know his first name, and I think everybody called him Red.
Red. There's a lot of nicknames, I feel like, on the Mississippi Coast. People have names like Red, so that's interesting. That's good to know.
Right, but his last name was DeVerney.
Okay.
Right.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, after the paper route, I used to get money also when the troop trains would be passing through there. Sometimes they would stop in Ocean Springs to take on water, and they would be delayed for 20, 30 minutes, sometimes longer. To get out there and sing for the soldiers, sing, and they would toss out coins. So I made money that way.
That's amazing. Who would you sing with? Were you by yourself singing or with a group?
Oh yeah. I was solo.
What? That is so cool. Do you still sing?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't the only. No. I was there. I used to kid my wife and tell her that I should have pursued that career.
You should have.
No, it was just the kids getting out there singing. I may come up to this one car and sing for those guys, and they'd toss me some money. Mm-hmm. I remember one time, not several times, some of those wise guys, they would heat their money, through match. I don't know how they would heat it, toss it out, man. When you pick it up, it'd be hot.
What?
They would laugh. That was it.
That's horrible.
Yeah, I can remember several times. They always wanted something cold to drink, a soda or a beer. And I don't remember where we used to get it from, but I have run to the store real quick and bring them something cold to drink. I remember they give me $1, sometimes $2, to do that. So that was big money at that time, and I would always help my grandmother out and give it to them. In that turpentine, still, that was the poorest of the poor, is where we lived there. We were real poor. Well, everybody was, but I didn't know that because everybody else was the same. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then let's see, my first job, I don't remember the place. I think it's still there. But going to Biloxi from the bridge on Highway 90?
Yeah.
Right at the left, just before, if you start the Beachway, there used to be a restaurant, and the guy used to rent little boats. So my job was to restore the minnows in the boats and bail out the water when they come back.
Wow.
I think I was getting like $5 or $6 a week for that.
Okay.
And that was every day. Yeah.
And what would normally you spend your money on? Is it mostly to help out around the house, or what would you usually do with that money?
Well, the majority of mine went to help my grandmother and grandfather. But of course, excuse me, the movies, used to go to the movies, and of course, going by Lovelace there and getting ice cream sundaes. That was a big treat. And I believe, I don't remember, but I think on the same side of that street, between the theater and Earl Keyes' Cleaners, there was an ice cream shop there. I somehow, but I don't recall the name of it or anything like that.
I think I've seen pictures of that. If you need to get a drink of water or something, I'm okay. Do you need to take a little break?
Yes, excuse me.
Okay, you're fine.
But I used to work for Earl Keyes. I'll tell you, during that time, black kids didn't have any mentors or anything. I think the only thing that you could look forward to was after they built Keesler Field was to get a job over there. Then they had a seafood factory there in Biloxi, in the point, in the beginning of the bridge coming to Ocean Springs. I think the casinos are all in there now. And the other thing was the shipyard. And boy, I had no inclination to work at the shipyard. So,
did you work at the seafood factories?
No. I don't remember. I remember people used to work there, but I don't recall any of the names. And only what I remember was when they get on the bus, boy, that odor. You know what I mean? You knew where they were.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about the smells from back then. So when you went to the movies back then, were movie theaters segregated too?
Oh, yeah. It was I guess the the theater is still there, the building, I'm not sure. It seemed like when I visited Ocean Springs a long, long time ago. And across the street from that, I remember there was a grocery store called Van Cleve's.
Yep, and that theater's not there anymore. I wish it was, but nope. That's where the Baptist church is now.
Oh, okay. Well, that was the theater, and of course the blacks were upstairs, and it was just a regular theater, but we just had to go upstairs, and sometimes some of the guys used to throw popcorn and stuff downstairs off the balcony. Being mischievous,
Yeah.
But
So do you feel like
Other
there?
than
Do you feel like there was a lot of like? Well, obviously that's racism, but I'm wondering, like, when you were talking about the fights, was the fights between the black kids and the white kids, or was it just the white kids fighting? Or do you feel like what do you feel like it was like during that time of segregation and racism?
mainly it was the white kids against the black kids, but even though the white kids used to fight each other there also, you know. Like I say, I can't remember the other black kid that was had a paper out like I did, you know.
Yeah.
Because during that time, you know, the blacks were concentrated in, I don't remember these streets, but anyway, I remember they had three juke joints there. That's what they used to refer to them as. And they were right in that area. All of them were concentrated in that general area. And then when you go, I guess it would be east on the railroad tracks, when you get down there, there was a few houses, and then you'd come to the turpentine quarters.
Okay. That helps me picture it. And so there were like 3 juke joints right there in your community?
Yes, there was. There was 3. I think they called one Miss Kit's Place, and the other one was called Froggy Bottom, and the other one, which was a nicer restaurant type, it's called Acapulco or something like that. But anyway.
And so I'm interested about those. I hadn't heard about those. So what were they doing there? Like having music and dancing, or what were they doing?
Yeah, that was the outlet. Friday nights, that's where they would go. And you know, the adults would drink and dance, you know. And I can remember when the guys used to get in fights and get put in jail, my grandfather would go down and get them out, especially if they worked in that turpentine still. He didn't, the white man would bail them out, but he would go down and pick them up so he could take them to work. So if they get in a fight on Friday night, they would go to jail, stay there. But Sunday night, they would get them out. Monday, they would go to work.
It was just a regular routine.
Well, yeah, it was, and there was no question about it. I could remember several times we used to pass the jail. Guys would be in there. They want us to go get them a cigarette. You could, during that time, you could buy cigarettes for a penny each. And it was one kind of brand, I don't remember the name. They'd give you 2 for a penny, you know. But yeah, my grandfather did that, and you know, he, like I say, he was like a little straw boss, and he used to take the guys and drop them off at these work sites.
Nice.
And they used to chip in boxes from turpentine. You know, do you know how the process of that? Have you heard?
I have. So they would, they had, I've seen pictures and things from the different turpentine where those, like they'd tap in the trees and put them in there. Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. And they had different areas that my grandfather would drop people off, and they were responsible for that area.
And so where was the jail?
You know, I can't remember. The best recollection I can get was from the theater across the street, on the side street that running through there. It was back in there, some places. I don't remember.
And so you would pass it. So was it one of those like open jail cells, or what do you mean?
Well, yeah. Well, you know, they'd be at the windows. The prisoners could come to the windows, you know, and holler out.
Interesting. I would like to see that. And so how many people would it hold?
You know, as a young kid, I don't know. I would imagine it was a small jail. But I could imagine they had, 3 or 4 cells in there. That's about all.
So there's an old jail that they've moved over by, like, more towards the Fort Bayou, and it's on display, but there's not a sign or anything for it, and no one's been able to tell me where that was, and so I'm wondering if that's the same one.
No, ma'am. That wasn't over the bayou. It was right there.
Okay. Well, they moved it. They moved this one from somewhere else to there for display. But so I wonder if it's the one that was the one you're talking about, and then they've moved it. I don't know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think what else to ask you. I made a list, but you're telling. Oh, what songs would you sing over when you were singing by the train?
Well, I remember Deep in the Heart of Texas, and we used to sing God Bless America. It was just songs like that. I can't. Then there was another couple, but I don't remember.
Those are good ones. That gives me a good idea. I love it. And so did you attend church when you lived there?
I did. Like I told you, this lady, Miss Heffler, was a friend of my grandmother. My grandmother attended Macedonia. And when I was a kid, I went there, and then Mrs. Heffler told my grandmother about our Mother of Sorrows school. And when I went over there, I became a Catholic, I guess, when I was in 7th to 8th grade or somewhere like that. And I went to our Mother of Sorrows school in church.
Okay.
Occasionally, now they had a Catholic church there in Ocean Springs. I can remember, I don't know where it was exactly, but there was a Catholic church there during that time. And in the back, they had 2 or 3 pews reserved for black people. They weren't marked. But you knew where they were.
Interesting. I wonder if that was at St. Alphonsus, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask about that.
I really don't remember the name. Right.
Mm-hmm. What other stores do you remember?
Well, I think there was a McFarland's? I think it was a McFarland's. It was like a variety store where you could get anything there. And I think it was called McFarland's. And I don't know if the McFarland's was a Cresses or not, but I think there was a Cresses there. And, by the way, I used to work at Goche's grocery store.
Oh.
Leo Russell and I used to work there. And our job was to deliver groceries. I can't remember the black guy's name that used to drive the station wagon. But anyway, we would go in and drop the groceries up to the houses for people.
Very cool. So yeah, that building is still there, and there is like a little, there's little tiles out front in the concrete that say like Goche's delivery or something, and it points to the back, because now it's just like it's Blossom and Gas, but it does still have some things from the grocery. And so you would deliver the groceries. What were you on, bike, or what would you you said there was a bus. There was someone driving a delivery truck?
No, it was a station wagon type vehicle, yeah. And we used to ride, and when the guy would go down the street, if there was some groceries on the right side, I would take them, and on the left side, Leo would drop them off, to the house.
Okay.
I remember, I'll tell you this, we used to cheat a little bit because the people would order ham, and it'd be wrapped up from they called them deli down, but anyway, we would take some of the ham out and try to re-wrap the package, and we never got caught.
So you would take some of the ham out just for yourselves to eat it?
Oh yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
It was your tip for delivering their groceries.
Right, because they didn't give you tips back. I never got any tips from doing it. I mean, I remember this one lady. I do not remember her name. I used to like to go to her house because every time I went there, she would always have a cold glass of lemonade. And boy, that would really be a treat.
That's nice. Yeah. Do you remember where she was at all?
No, I don't. Like I say, I don't remember any streets there because I don't think they had. I think, what is Government Street? What is that?
Government Street now, I think, is what they used to call Highway 90, but Highway 90
Right.
has
Okay.
moved. Yeah.
That was there in the street in front of, where Loveless, is that Porter?
That's Washington.
Washington. Okay. Where is Porter?
Porter is down a little. Porter's like where the movie theater was.
Okay. All right. Okay. Right.
Yeah. And then
you take that Porter right on out and come to the bridge down there too, as I recall.
yes.
If you're going toward Biloxi.
Yes, yes. I'm impressed with how good of a memory you do have and how much you do remember. I'm impressed. So I'm trying. Did you play any sports or have any hobbies?
No, ma'am. I didn't. I wasn't. I wasn't that good. But we used to go out to the baseball field they referred to it as, and I used to play out there with the other kids. But no, individually, I never. I played on I guess you'd call it the JV basketball when I went to Almother Sars. I never stayed there. Well, I guess I probably would have joined the regular team, but we had a lot of people that come back from World War II and was going back to school and getting their degrees, a diploma. And so it kind of, guys like me got kind of shut out,
Okay. Because there were some older guys playing.
Right. Yeah.
I'm trying to, is there any, let's see, like any other people that you looked up to or that you, I don't know, that stood out to you?
Yeah, there was I remember we had a dentist there called Dr. Johnson, and he had a son around my age. We used to all play together. And, of course, I told you about Earl Keyes.
Yes.
And, of course, Marshall was Earl's brother, which he was married to Mrs. Elizabeth Keyes. And other than that, as far as people to look up to, that was about it. I remember there was another guy there. I just can't remember his name, but the only social life that I can recall that they had in Ocean Springs for the black people were the Masons.
Oh.
Right, and my grandfather was a member of that.
Okay, so I didn't realize that. So black people were part of the Masons?
Well, they had their own. I think they call it the Prince Hall.
Prince
Hall. I think that was the black version of it, right?
And do you remember where they met?
It was at the hall. They had a hall there, and I guess the only way there used to be a grocery store, and I guess there was Highway 90, which is now, you say Washington Street.
Government
Street, right. But anyway, that's the way I can describe it. I can't remember the garage. There used to be a garage there that everybody referred to. But anyway, it was behind that, in between Government Street and in the track was where the hall was.
Okay.
Mason's Hall, right. Mm-hmm.
And where were the baseball fields you were talking about?
That was the one I mentioned across from Macedonia Church.
Across from Macedonia Church.
Right.
Oh, like on the other side of the tracks?
No. It was between the church and Highway 90.
Oh, okay. So yeah. Right now, that's where there's like a park there. Okay, so that would be where the park is. That makes sense.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And
we had a tennis court. There was a tennis court there.
Oh, nice.
And a baseball field, and I think they had a basketball hoop there, but I don't ever remember playing. That was too small. It was for the bigger kids.
Basketball's still really popular there. Whenever I drive by, there's people playing basketball.
Uh-huh.
Do you have any kids?
Yes. when I got married, we have 6 kids. Six.
Oh, wow. And where are they?
Well, unfortunately, I have 2 left. 4 of them has passed on, including my wife. We had 3 boys and 3 girls. Now, all this when I was in the Army, you know. I have 1 daughter left, and she's up in Maryland. And I have 1 son left. He's here in Newport News, but he's temporarily living with me because he feels that he had got to look out for me. You know?
Well, that's nice of him to come look out for you, even though I bet you don't need to be looked out after. And how long? What was your wife's name? How long were you married?
Well, I was married for 58 years, but I knew her for 60. I got married when I was stationed in Missouri, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, in I can't remember, 57? Yeah, 57. 57 is when I got married, right? August 57.
Okay. And what was her name?
Her name was May Jean Jefferson. Well, May Jean, yes. She was from Detroit. I met her there, like I say, at Fort Leonard Wood. She was in the Army also, you know, right.
And how did you meet her? What's the story?
I met her, she worked at the NCO, well, it wasn't the NCO, yes it was, the NCO club there. She had just transferred in there from Germany, and she was being processed out of the Army because she was just like, I think they call it a medical hold, but she had asthma, very bad, in Germany, and they sent her back to the States to be processed out for discharge. So while she was there, it was during Christmas time, and of course, you know, there's not too much duty during Christmas between, I guess, the 20th December when they used to let the guys go on leave until January 3rd or 4th, you know. So things are very slow. So she took a job at the NCO club, and that's where I met her.
Okay. There. And you were married for 58 years. That's neat.
Yeah, yeah, married for 58 years. I knew her for 60. You know,
wow.
2 years before we got married. Yeah.
So would you say you liked living in Ocean Springs as a kid?
Oh yeah, sure. I really enjoyed it. You know,
did.
As a kid, that was the most fun time of my life.
Well, good. It has been hard because as I've gotten really into the history in Ocean Springs, it's been hard to find out a lot about the Black history and what it was like for that community growing up. Especially, I feel like one of the last ones. I hate to say it, and so I'm so happy I was able to hear from you. But yeah, so with prejudices and civil rights, was that any big deal in Ocean Springs? Do you feel like you saw a lot of things happening?
I never experienced any of the, other than being called the N-word by people, you know. But no, I mean, it was just I never thought about it. You know, I really didn't. You know, and I wasn't a troublemaker or anything like that. But one thing about Ocean Springs, like I say, I don't know, from some of the places up in northern Mississippi, what I've read about how they used to treat the black people, we never experienced that there in Ocean Springs. I mean, you know, I've heard when you're walking down the sidewalk, you'd have to get off the sidewalk if there was a white person coming. We never did anything like that. You know, I never experienced that.
Well, that's good to know. Because I always wondered, I've heard that it was a lot worse in northern Mississippi. I know that there was some, obviously, in Ocean Springs too. But hearing it from someone like you, I've been interested to know what it was really like, if what I've been told is true or whatnot, and so. But I mean, you had said that sometimes, you know, kids would throw rocks and stuff at you. Do you think that was just kids being kids, or was that a racism thing?
Yeah, no, it wasn't racism. It was just kids.
Okay.
I mean, of course, they'd call you the N-word, but I mean, they didn't really know anything about that. I mean, well, maybe what their parents told them. But it was just kids. It was just kid stuff.
But you don't feel like it got in the way of living your life or having a good time or have it changed your childhood in different ways?
No, never.
Well, that's good to know, and I'm glad that, that you're still holding on. So how old are you?
I'll be 93 in May, this coming May, a couple of months from now. Right.
Well, I'm glad that you have your son looking after you, too. But, so the last time you were in Ocean Springs was probably in the 60s, did you say?
I visited back there. Let me see. Well, we used to have school reunions over there in our mother's house. And when I'd come back from one of those, I would always come over to Ocean Springs and visit, But like during that time, there was only a few people there that I knew. But I believe, I think my wife was with me one time there in 08.
In 08, okay.
2008.
And then you said that at the colored school in Ocean Springs, it would go up to about 8th grade. Do you remember when you'd start? Was it like how old would you start going to school? Were you like 6 or?
I guess 6 years old.
Okay,
yeah.
so normal.
And they called it the primer or something like that. I don't think it was called
primer.
No, they didn't have any kindergarten. I know that,
Okay.
When you started the school, you ended up, I guess, in the first grade, and then from then on up,
Yep. I even actually think that I've heard that kindergarten's still not even a mandatory thing, but I mean, everyone does it, but it's kind of interesting that I don't think it's mandatory. Well, very neat. So yeah, what about, that's what I wanted to ask you. What about the beach? Did you ever spend any time at the beach?
Well, not really. You remember I told you where I used to work at that restaurant there in that boathouse?
Oh, yep.
Right. Now, I used to walk down the beach there, and I guess that would be going east, following the beach contours there. And I remember you could go down, Monday was the best time to walk down there because guys would be sitting out there with their girlfriends or whatever, on the beach, and change would come out of their pockets. That was a good thing to do, walk down there. And we could find money. I found a watch one time.
What? That's really funny.
Yeah. That beach wasn't, I mean, it was a beach, but it wasn't, I'm sure like it's now, it's been developed, it's quite a place. But, oh man, we used to have a place over the bridge there across the bayou, we used to call it the swimming hole. And that's where the black kids swim.
Oh, wait, so where was that? Across where?
Across the bayou.
Okay.
The bridge. I think they got a new bridge there now.
Yes, and so on the other side of that bridge, kind of going towards Lover's Lane, is that where you're talking about? I don't know if you know where that is. You don't know the street names, I know. But yes, on the other side of the bridge, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was going toward Gulf Hills.
Yep.
The
that bridge. Okay, so I was thinking about the bridge going over to Biloxi, but you're talking about like the Fort Bayou Bridge.
Right.
Oh,
yeah,
so
right.
over by that restaurant now is called Aunt Jenny's, but it was there before. It's like they used to have a ferry back a long time ago, right there. Interesting.
I don't remember the ferry. Yeah.
That might have been before. That would have been before the bridge. So.
Well, the bridge. I've been to Aunt Jenny's as a friend of mine. I still have a friend down there in Biloxi now. The only one that's there. That when we went to school together. The last time I was there, I think it was in 2018. We stopped by Aunt Jenny's because he said she had some of the best flounders, and we had enjoyed a good meal there.
I like it there. Yeah, that's a really neat spot.
But,
Yeah, that's a really neat spot.
Yeah, it was going toward Gulf Hills. but I've been reading from this post. There's a lot of restaurants in Ocean Springs now.
There are. It's growing really fast, and there's a lot of restaurants. So it's neat when there's some of the older, like, historic homes, because, I mean, after all the storms, I know that there's not very much left. And so it's nice when they are able to, turn something old into, whether it be a restaurant or whatnot, but they're holding on to some parts of the history.
Right. I can recall the last time I was there, I told you I worked for Earl Keys, which had the cleaners.
Right.
And he moved. I don't know why, but he moved. He built cleaners right in his house, on the side of his house. when he left there on the street where the drugstore is. And when I passed there, I went by. The place is still there, but I think it's some kind of antique shop or something.
I think it's the tattoo shop.
What is it?
Tattoos. It's a tattoo shop.
Oh, okay.
It's like a artistic tattoo shop, like an art gallery type tattoo shop, and then connected to it is a popsicle, like a Pop Brothers where you can get popsicles.
I see. Well, I was kind of shocked. Because, like you say, a lot of those houses, they turn them into antique places,
Yep.
Yeah, I remember. I'll tell you what a white school was.
Yeah.
That was the bus that you used to catch. That was the last point there in the Ocean Springs, and then it would come up, I guess, down Porter, since you mentioned it. It would come down Porter and come up that was come up to Highway 90, and that was the last stop. And that's where you caught the bus. Of course, you could catch it on the side streets, but
interesting.
That was
the bus stop.
There used to be a little joint right there. I remember there was a couple of oak trees, and a lot of guys have gotten killed speeding there on Highway 90.
Oh, really? Right there? Because they'd hit the oak trees?
Right.
Oh. Mm-hmm. That's too bad.
A lot of them. And I remember, I can't think of the lady's name. The only black person Dr. Johnson, Earl, I think, had a phone. The only person that I knew that had a phone was a lady who lived right in front of that little place and those oak trees where the bus used to turn around.
Okay, and where was that in comparison to the school?
Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
Just across the street from it, or where? On which side?
It was across the street on Highway 90.
Okay, across the street. Right. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I cannot think of a name. Right.
Well, very interesting. This was so fun to talk to you, and I appreciate all your comments and things that you put on the Facebook group. And yeah, if you ever see anything and it triggers a memory, make sure to share it with us, because it's important to be able to hear those stories and from the past. So I've appreciated when you put input on there.
Well, thank you, but I really enjoy reading, reading about it and the progression that Ocean Springs has made. Of course, that's normal, but it makes you proud to be from a place like that.
Yeah, definitely. And so, how did you hear about the Facebook group? Just curious.
I think I was just scrolling through it once, and I saw something on there about Ocean Springs, and I was really shocked.
It just popped up like almost like a you might be interested in this page type of a thing.
No. It was just I saw something on it, and the header was Ocean Springs. I don't remember what it was, but that I was telling you about old Earl Keys. When I was in Germany in the Army, I think I went to Germany in 51, 52. Doing that between 52 and 55, the only other thing I remember reading about Ocean Springs was there used to be a magazine called the Crime Magazine.
Okay.
And anyway, there were some guys that took Earl Keyes, tied him up, and robbed him, and that made the crime magazine and about Ocean Springs, you know.
And you read about that when you were in Germany?
Yes. Right.
That's horrible. And so, but yeah, that's crazy that it made that news, but that's quite the story, especially because you knew him. That must have been shocking for you.
It was, you know, but, you know, now Earl, I remember, well, before he died, he bought a lot of property over that Back Bay Bridge, you know, and he used to raise hogs out there. And I think the guy, his nickname was Popeye, but he just passed, Fred was telling me not too long ago. He purchased a lot of Earl's property over that across the bayou.
Okay.
Doing that, I only remember 2 or 3 black families used to live over there that, you know, around the Gulf Hills area at the time. And I guess they'd been there for years and years. The family had been there for years. You know, I don't even remember their names.
Interesting.
Yeah, I used to caddy out there at Gulf Hills.
You did?
Oh yeah, yeah.
You had a lot of jobs.
I sure did. Wasn't anything else to do. But anyway, yeah, I used to caddy, and I can remember I had several guys customers used to ask for me to carry their bags. I remember one doctor or something, I don't remember his name, but anyway, they were good people. Sometimes you'd caddy for somebody they wouldn't be quite as nice. And if they lose a ball or something, you could find the ball, you just step on it.
Yeah.
Hide it. You'd be looking for it. Come back later on and dig it up and wash it up.
That's really funny.
Yeah, you could sell. You know, you could sell balls. You know,
yes.
Golf balls. Another thing that I used to do was on that. I think you said School Street. There used to be a pecan orchard there. I guess between the school and the church.
Yes.
And we used to come by there and sometimes duck down when the cars or something be coming and pick the pecans, you know. And I remember this one, you know where where their shop is. I told you where Earl Keith,
yes.
Where you say there's a tattoo place. Okay, on the side street now.
Cash Alley? Is it Cash Alley?
I don't.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You don't know the street. Yes, that's what I'm picturing. But yep.
Yeah. There was a hardware store there, a feed store, I think they referred to it as. And they had this elderly gentleman. You could bring pecans by there and sell them to him, you know, and he would take them and sit them in the back, which was near a back door, you know. And his memory wasn't that good. He used to, Leo Russell was a bad influence. Because I remember he used to go back there, you sell him a bag of pecans. He would take them in the back, and Leo would go back to, me too, would go back there and steal them right back and sell him the same pecans.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
See, it's those types of stories that I enjoy. I really like picturing that. That's funny.
Yeah. Well, you know, back in them days, we didn't have any cameras, so there wasn't any way of taking any pictures.
That's really funny. Yeah. So and then would you ever crack open the pecans, or would you normally just get them and then sell them?
Well, yeah, we would sell, but mainly just to sell them back to him. But we used to eat pecans, you know, a lot of get a pocket full coming home from school, you know, stopping at that little place. And I remember they had a certain area, what they called paper shell pecans,
Yes.
and they were they were. Boy, oh boy! I apologize for this damn cold, but
No, I'm sorry you're not feeling well, and I'm making you talk to me.
No, no, it's not that. I was taking some medicine for it, but that's what it started. I get on these spells, But overall, I'm in good health. I have a pacemaker and a defibrillator, but other than that, I still drive.
Well, you sound like it. You sound just like you remember everything, and you sound healthy and good to me. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been blessed with good health. Well, good health, but.
Are there any? What about what kind of food? Do you remember any of the food that you ate? Like some of your favorite things when you lived here, or any people who made really good food?
Well, Miss Heffler, I remember she used to make gumbo, and that was one of my favorites. But other than that, and I know the church used to have fish fries, and go there and get fish fries. But no, I can't remember anything specific that my grandmother used to cook, and I used to like her hamburgers. I remember she did day work, washing and ironing for different people. So, and looking back at it, I could see my grandmother was she was innovative, because she would not take on work for people unless they had a boy and he was around my age.
Really?
So, of course, yeah. So when they do the school shopping for him, I would get the pass downs,
That's very neat. And that's so thoughtful of her to think of that ahead of time.
Yep, that's right. I remember I'll never forget this. One time, it was right at the beginning of school. She had these knickerbockers. Black people didn't wear those. I mean, they couldn't afford them,
Mm-hmm.
She had these knickerbockers and the socks and everything. Man, I went to school. Those kids harassed me. Those kids harassed me so when I got home, I told my grandmother I didn't ever want to wear those.
That's funny.
Yeah. I'll tell you, we had a swimming hole. Like I said, we didn't go to the beach because I don't know if there's any. I don't think that anybody swam at that beach down there. They may have waded out a little bit, but over the Back Bay Bridge, there was a place on the left side going over the bridge. It's like a little sandbar, really, and that's where. I don't ever remember any girls going in there, but that's where all the guys used to go swimming.
All right, that was your swimming hole.
Yeah, it was well, the crocodiles would be out there swimming sometimes, and you'd have to throw rocks at them and run them away.
Oh my goodness!
That was a little area where we used to swim, and unfortunately, some of the white kids used to take glass bottles and throw over there, so you really had to search the area before you went swimming, because otherwise you could get a good cut.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but that was our swimming hole, and it was nice. And then occasionally, we used to, a couple of us, me and Leo especially, used to jump off that bridge and swim there in the Back Bay. I remember there was a pier. There used to be I guess it was a fishing pier. But boy, I'll tell you, those barnacles on those posts, trying to get back up once you jump off, that was,
Ooh,
it was kind of rough.
That would be rough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that was our swimming area,
Yeah.
That's where I learned how to swim. And,
Did you teach yourself, or who taught you how to swim?
No, it's self-taught,
Yeah, figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever? Did you do any fishing, or did you like to fish?
No, I never was a fisher. My grandfather used to fish. I remember on the rail trestle, going, between going to Biloxi.
Mm-hmm.
We used to go out there. Sometimes I would go with him, and he used to fish what they call sheepheads.
Oh yeah.
Right by the pilings, and he would fish for those. I just didn't have the patience. You know what I mean?
No, I do. Yep. You were more of like you wanted to get a job, make some money. You were out and about, wheeling and dealing.
Yep. Yeah. I remember. A lot of times now I think it's a delicacy, but he used to catch what they call an eel.
Yes.
Okay, and now those are good eating.
Yes.
I remember my grandmother used to occasionally she would cook one of those.
Okay, they're just scary looking.
I know. Well, people think I'm a snake.
Yeah.
But have you ever eaten one?
I've had it part of like sushi or different things like that, but I haven't ever just like cooked it up and ate one. No.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I can remember. Speaking of that, I know there was a guy that lived out there in that turpentine. Still, I do not remember his name, but he used to catch frogs, and it wasn't a toad frog, I guess you'd call. But these frogs were huge, and when they had the leg on them would be like a chicken.
What? They were that big?
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
I don't know where he used to catch these frogs, but anyway, I remember several times my grandfather also was like he cut hair. He was like a barber.
Oh.
And he cut hair right there in the house, on the side of the house. Guys used to come by there and get their hair cut. And he also, I told you, he was like a straw boss. He used to keep the time for the guys working, and he worked in the commissary. And I can remember now, looking back at it, some of these guys had pretty big families, and they would do their shopping at that commissary, and near before payday, they would run out of food, and then they could get food, bacon and cheese and stuff like that, flour, lard, on the book so they could have something to eat. But when they come payday time, they wouldn't have that much money left, from their pay because it's been deducted, I remember that, and I remember several of them used to come by and see my grandfather afterwards, and he would go out to the store and get him some flour, some stuff like that.
Your grandparents sound amazing.
Well, they were amazing, and you don't appreciate a lot of things. Well, I didn't that they did for you,
mm-hmm.
but until they're gone.
Right. No, I think most people feel that way, where you go, oh, wow, they really did a lot.
Right. Yeah.
And so did they already, so when you started living with them as a baby, were they already in Ocean Springs, or did you move there with them?
No, we were in Lewin.
Okay. And so it wasn't just your parents that lived there. They lived there too, and then they came and moved there for the turpentine still?
Right. And I think the connection was, there was a guy named Owen Shepherd had married to one of the Gays' sisters, and that was the connection. And the Gays, of course, had that turpentine still, and I guess that's how we moved.
Okay.
Down the Ocean Springs, because Shepherd he left Lewin and come down there, and I guess you could say he kind of brought us with him.
Okay. Yep.
But I don't remember anything about Lewin. I looked it up not too long ago. I think the population was under 300 people.
Oh my goodness, that would be interesting to see.
Yeah. I remember it was near Laurel. That's Laurel, in a place called Bay Springs.
Yeah, it's not too far from here either.
Mm-hmm.
So where was the commissary? So the commissary, was that part of the still?
Yeah, that was. It was all part of it. Was like a little compound.
Okay.
It was right there in the still. I used to remember when they used to put that the turpentine. Well, they did turpentine was different, but after they cook it, they come up with some. I think they call it rosin, and they used to put that in barrels. I remember at that shop where you take the half a barrel and make it in two halves and put it together. After
Yeah.
And then they would put the turpentine rosin in it, right?
Interesting. And so you said that it was just right down there. The turpentine still was just like a little bit further past the school on highway on.
No, ma'am. It was in front of the school.
In front.
Highway 90, in front of the school. I told you the Thurmans used to live in one of the houses right there, and directly in front of the school.
Directly in front of the school. Okay.
Right behind that was a turpentine still.
Okay. Yeah. I can't believe I didn't realize. Yeah, because I live really close to there, so I'm surprised I had no idea that was right there. So I'm happy to know that. That's so interesting.
Well, I was trying to think of something else that you might, but I can't. But it was fun. It was fun growing up there in Ocean Springs. It really was, and I enjoyed every bit of it.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for everything, and I've enjoyed talking to you. But yeah, feel free to call me anytime or reach out to me and comment. Or if you, do you have? So you don't have any pictures? I think I've asked you that before. Do you have any pictures?
No, ma'am. The only pictures that I have there in Ocean Springs was the one I told you about, the school.
Yes, and that is a great picture. That was really neat.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
that's really, and that you were the one in the overalls, right?
Oh yeah, right. That's right.
I remember.
Yes, you do. Yeah, and Jerry was sitting right next to me, Jerry Wallace.
Yes, I'm going to need to get together with her soon and get her stories as well.
Oh yeah, well her recollection, I'm pretty sure, is better than mine because she spent a lot of time there since I left.
Yeah, but your recollection was really good too. So thank you, and I'll let you go. I know you're coughing and you're not feeling well, so it was so good to finally meet you, and we'll be in touch. Thanks again.
Well, thank you, and you have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay.